How long will you wait before you demand excellence from yourself?
Is that from Epictetus?
That is from Epictetus.
Oh my word. So welcome to episode 14. We are, like, just when I watched our YouTube analytics, we are like 40 subscribers away from 5K. So 6 months ago, I recorded that clip as well on my Instagram. I posted it. I was like, we are reminiscing about the idea of starting a podcast. And now 6 months later, we're at 5K. And obviously, when you compare it to everyone else, it's not great, but some people just starting out, you know, it's amazing, right? So what is it? Comparison is a thief of joy. So you should always stay grounded, but also, you know, achieve what you want to achieve.
I mean, 6 months ago, before we started the podcast, 5K felt like a famous person's podcast, you know, because we had zero. So it is literally infinitely more than what we had. And it's crazy just to reflect on the journey looking back. And you can only really connect the dots looking back. And so that's exactly what this podcast is all about, sort of going through all the lessons that we've learned up until this point, sort of like a 5K special or whatever.
Exactly.
And I'm excited for this one. I think it's going to be a good one. The past couple of weeks I have been also reflecting a lot and just making sure that all the goals are aligned and coming to the end of a year as well. I think that's sort of the energy people tend to have, and I like to make sure that I know what I want to do next year already that month beforehand. You know, I don't want to come in January and new year, new me or whatever. I want to carry that energy already over from this year to the next.
I think there's definitely a lot of power in new year, new me. It's like when people bash on it, but still you shouldn't, let's say it's June. I think I even started this, like our first podcast was in June actually, and we were talking about this exact thing. You know, this new year, new me thing. It's like when it's June, you shouldn't say, oh, I'll wait till next year. But if it's literally December and January, it is kind of like a new page, new chapter. And that's literally what happened this year as well. Like at the start of this year, I was like, fuck, like I need to get rich. Like that was just my mindset getting into it. And it was like 31 December. And then a year later, it's crazy what can happen.
Yeah, I agree. I think like it's just, you just need to be mindful about it, right? Like you don't want to sort of unnecessarily prolong the period before you actually start taking action. Like if you can start now, you know, there's some value in that as well. But I think, like Andrew said, there's power in I think doing anything collectively, and I think collectively the entire world's energy at least tries to be directed in a better version of themselves, and there's some power in that. But I also think there's in the same form, there's also power in a lot of people stopping as well, you know, in the inverse. I
think I heard a stat that said 80% of people give up after their first obstacle. 80% of people.
What?
Their first obstacle they face. And believe it or not, you're going to face a lot of challenges on your journey. And then the second challenge, 90% of people give up. And the third challenge, 99% of people give up. So if you face 3 challenges on your journey, which 100% you will, that's why the top 1% is the top 1%. And Alex Hormozi also talks about this a lot. It's so easy to beat people nowadays because when you hear that stat, 1% of people keep going after 3 challenges. So it's the price of excellence has never been so cheap, as he likes to call it. Obviously, it's not a get-rich-quick scheme like it may seem online, but there's a lot of hard work that goes into it. But once you pass that initial stages of hard work, it's way more, you acquire more leverage, you know, through podcasts like we are doing. It's the most high leverage activity. We saw this recent Instagram post. Was it Neil Patel or something? Is like a famous internet marketer, and he says the podcasts are growing massively at the moment. You know the exact stats of that?
I'm actually not 100% sure what the exact stats was, but like essentially in the beginning of this year, the amount of consumers consuming podcasts, took blogs over. And if you think about it, like, written media has been number one for, since the internet came out. And well, I mean, before that as well, I guess. But obviously visual content is much more stimulating, but it's definitely a new gen type of thing, And especially with our generation and the old generation sort of transitioning to more visual stimulation, like Reels, YouTube, Instagram, that type of thing. What do you say? The supply, or like the demand is extremely high, but the supply is low. Because if you look at the amount of blogs that are out, now the stats said 1 billion. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
that
a lot
sounds,
of blogs.
That sounds a
One
lot.
out of 8 people have a blog.
Yeah, that's tough. But let's just say, for example, it's half of that or whatever. Okay, there's only 4 point something million podcasts. So the demand is high, but the supply is low.
Yeah, so according to
And-
that stat, it's 2.5% essentially
Oh, wow.
from podcast to the ratio,
Yeah.
2.5% from podcast to blog, and also the volume is double. So that just it's actually like 1% essentially if you divide the 2.5 to divided by 2.
And I mean, if you understand the nature and the value in long format content, you can exponentially leverage that. Because and I would recommend everyone watching this, if you're going to go into content, I would say the best way to sort of approach that is to really focus on, and I would say that this will work for 95% of people out there, okay? Yes, you can get famous by just doing shorts or whatever, but if you do focus like 90% on sort of high quality long format stuff, you can always down the line just optimize and get someone to repurpose that long format stuff in shorts.
Yeah.
But if you're sort of splitting your focus and the quality of your long format's not really good, the audio's not that great, and then when you repurpose it, it doesn't really look good. I would say to focus on the long format stuff for sure.
The shorts and the reels and the Instagram, that's more just to keep people top of mind. So it's a funnel you have to go through, and like we have our funnel as well, like with the long form, we are forming like a parasocial relationship with you through the screen, right? Like when you consume an hour and a half of content of someone through your ears, it's kind of like he's standing right next to you. You know him so well. Like when we meet some people offline, it feels kind of weird in a sense because there's this energy imbalance. Like they know so much about us, but we don't even know their name. It's like, yo, Andrew, I'm like, what's your name again? And they know so much about me. So that can be used a lot in, obviously psychology and things like that, to get people to buy your stuff, right? Because they know, like, and trust you. That's what you need. You know them, and you do that through the short form, the reels and stuff like that, to just keep people top of mind, because people have a low attention span, and like and trust you is through the long form. So short form, I see a lot of people like, Alfie and them, most of them just post short form.
That's why I would say it will work for 95% of people. Some people build their entire business just off of shorts, but it's 100% the minority. And so when you do anything and you want to optimize for it, you want to always try and just look at stats and just predominantly optimize for that, because there are some people that build the entire business off of shorts, but I believe that if they would pivot into a more long format approach, long term, they would do better. But that's working for them right now, so.
And I recently saw a VSL as well from Serge Katari, and he mentions that the number one thing, and it's so funny, like they all say post content, the number one thing. It's like, don't focus on your offer, your strategy, your funnel.
Did even Serge say that?
Yeah, Iman, like Ty Lopez, all of them say this. So if you're not posting content, which is the number one thing you should do, and don't, like when I posted my first YouTube video, it's like, it was terrible, but like, I just knew I had to get into
Was that the
this.
one in the call where you were like driving,
Yeah.
like, this was my first video, I just want to let everyone know.
I
I'm
posted
starting
as like,
channel.
I'm starting this, like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm driving, I almost crashed the car, like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Wouldn't recommend that to start off with.
Refilming it like 12 times.
Yeah. Literally, like, I think it was 30 times I refilmed it. But, you have to realize people don't really care as much. The first thought that comes in your mind when you wake up is 99% of yourself. We talked about this yesterday with a couple of friends. Like, most people are just like selfish in nature, right? So, when you post content, don't be too overly scared, because no one really cares. Like, maybe the first 2 videos, people are like, haha, you're posting. But then the next day, they, have to focus on their goals and everything like that.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, coming from some like from people that like a bit like just did it already, like the past 6 months, we literally went through exactly what we're talking right now. Yeah. Which is crazy. But I mean, everyone said that previously, but it was still a struggle for me to work through that friction, because it's human nature to be a bit like insecure, like what are people gonna say or whatever. But it is what it is. Like doing it now for 6 months. I get to a point like we're sitting without a shirt, like we don't really care, like I wanna be able to convey, and I think this is the most important thing when it comes to content is authenticity.
Oh my word, yeah.
We
can definitely talk about that.
Yeah, and I would say that's the number one thing, and so I would say a lot more people would resonate with you if you are authentically yourself. And like, if I would naturally sit here and have a conversation with Andrew, I would be sitting here without a shirt. And so when I started the podcast, I would probably sit here with a nice shirt, maybe I had some glasses, whatever. And like, that's also good. Like, you sometimes have to be presentable and persuasion, or not persuasion, perception, stuff like that. But you know, essentially, I think it's a good approach, especially on my social media. I want to be intimate on it, you know, I want to be transparent or whatever. And if you look at all the big personal brands, like, I don't think you buy a product from someone necessarily because of the product. Obviously, it has a big influence on it, but there's a lot of other people that have good products. And so you need to put yourself out there in a different manner. Like, why are they going to buy your product?
Yeah.
And that, like Andrew always said, like business is actually just psychology, to be honest, and leveraging human nature and yeah.
The best, yeah, we can touch on authenticity, and also the Grant Cardone, my mic's still good now.
Yeah.
Grant Cardone said the best known people, no, the best known product will always beat the best product. The best known.
Oh, yeah,
so
yeah.
essentially, from $0 to $100,000 per month, like, with that money, you kind of set, right? And that's 90% is marketing. And what is marketing? Content, ads. That's all, really. And, you know, sending emails and DMs to people. So if you have a service or an offer or community or a product, anything, like, if you're not posting content, not running ads, and not sending your offer to people through DMs and emails, like, you will not make money. So you have to realize all of these people, they post a lot online. You know, when you run an agency, it's like you can send emails and DMs and ads, but like, you know, from the start, I started my YouTube for the community. Like, you know, from my first video, even when my agency wasn't doing as well, right? I started it with the intention, that's the right word, for the community we're gonna build, because I know that's the ultimate long-term vision, and that takes long-term thinking. And we can also touch on authenticity as well. I listened to a podcast from Luke Belmar and James English, and he talked about, you know, the frequency of authenticity. And a lot of people think that, you know, love is the highest frequency. You know, the scale of shame, guilt, pride, love, like that.
Yeah.
That scale. What do you call that?
Isn't it a
Richard Dawkins scale or something like that.
yeah?
Not exactly sure. But
Just type in energy
like the
frequency.
enlightenment.
Yeah, the energy. Type in energy frequency table. It will come up. It's like different colors.
yeah, we can maybe put a photo of it. That would be
Yeah.
cool. So essentially, like, I think guilt and shame is at the bottom. So do less of things that make you feel that way, because people can feel the energy. It's real. And then also at the top, people thought it's love, but actually it's authenticity. They actually did a study where they hooked people up on this energetic fields, and they removed all the 5G and all this stuff. So the only energy they could feel was from the person. I don't know exactly how they did that, but they felt that when they were speaking and they were authentic, they were operating out of a higher frequency. And you have to realize all the things you want already out there, it's operating on a certain frequency, right? And if you align with that frequency, opportunities will start to open up to you. And if you are in a lower frequency, right, just doing bad habits and stuff like that make you feel down and low, you won't even spot the opportunity. That's the thing, you won't even see it. Like, reality is subjective completely. You know, like a super successful guy, they see the world completely differently.
Yeah.
Even though it's like the same thing, they see an opportunity where you see a problem. So because they operate on a different frequency.
Yeah.
That's real. Like, people think, oh, this stuff is woo-woo. No, this is real stuff.
I 100% agree with that. And I mean, yeah, let's just touch on authenticity again. You know, I would say, if I were to analyze all the people that I consume content from or learn from, and some of my mentors, I don't necessarily think that the product that they are delivering is that crazy, and some of them, the products aren't even really that
Because
good.
product is also subjective.
But
you know?
yeah, that's also true. You know, but the way how he delivers it is more digestible for me, and therefore I believe the product is better. And it might be then, you know. Let's say,
Placebo.
for example, well, not even just placebo. Like, let's say if the product is good, but because it's not relatable, you are taking action less. Because, like, you know, you're not even giving yourself permission to take action, because it's like you're already writing it off in your brain, because it's like, oh no, he's overseas, or like he's a rich man, or like, I don't even know, you know, that's just the
Limiting belief.
Yeah, that's limiting beliefs that I used to operate out of, you know. But because it's a bit more relatable, you tend to take more action, and therefore the product is better. You know, because I mean, if you take the product and a good product equals, or a, yeah, how would you even judge a good product? It's probably
A
a
good
good
product
product
is-
is the one that gives you better results.
I would say good and bad is subjective compared to the marketplace. So, you know, if you can have a, let's say, a 6 out of 10 product, right? 6 out of 10, let's just say
Okay.
subjectively or objectively, it's a 6 out of 10, right? But everyone in the marketplace is a 3 out of 10. Your product is amazing.
Yeah.
Because you can only, you know, see things through comparison, right? You know, like happy and sadness is only compared to the happiness and the sadness. He's like, that's how it works.
Yeah.
So you just need to be better than other people. And as we mentioned in the beginning, it's pretty easy to be better than most people because they're lazy, they don't
Yeah.
try, low estrogen, like man boobs, you know, like no one is trying.
Yeah.
So it's pretty easy. But I think a good thing to go from there is the things we've learned, you know, over the year. It's been a massive year so far.
Wow.
And it's like the first year we really started traveling quite a lot. And one thing I learned personally is that, you know, you shouldn't be scared of spending money. I think that's very important. Because when it's like that thing of scared money doesn't make any money. It's like a song, right? If you are constantly trying to hoard, it's like that exact thing is making you poor. It's like you think you should keep it. In the Bible, they also talk about, you know, if you're hoarding it, it's like it will lead to poverty or something like that, right? So when you spend, you shouldn't be too, you know, you shouldn't feel guilt or something like that. Just spend freely. Obviously, don't be stupid and go in debt. Like that's not what I'm saying. But like when you need to spend for travel or whatever, like spend, and also that will make you feel wealthier, which will then make you operate at a higher frequency, attracting more opportunities. So.
Yeah.
And the money will always come back. That's the thing.
I think it's a good point. I also think to add on to that, you need to steward your money correctly as well. You know, I don't think under means spend and then just go and buy a watch and a Lambo and all of that straight from your first paycheck. Maybe that is what you mean. I don't know.
No.
But like, there's obviously a balance in that as well. You know, you need to steward your money correctly. And I think, you know, a lot of, how should I say? Okay, yeah, that's a different segment we can get into with like your hard posture, and because that's also a good conversation we had on the meeting we had with the community. But yeah, this year I spent infinitely more than I ever did. I think more than I've ever did in my entire life combined just this year, and I've made also much more. So to just yeah, and I think it's difficult to conceptualize a lot of things if you are in a place where you don't have that money to spend. You know, this might be an attack on your paradigm, but it's yeah, but it's obviously a good thing because, like you would hear a lot of people say, or you know, that's in that make their first bit of money. A lot of, like Nick, for example, he told me as soon as you make your first bit of money online, he would just go and travel, because the first year, I think, or something like that, he just traveled a lot, or 6 months, I'm not sure. But in those 3 to 6 months, he broke so many paradigms and met so many new people. And networking is something I want to touch on also further down this podcast. But met a lot of new people, saw a lot of new opportunities. And from there, his brain expanded so much, it was impossible for him to go back to his old paradigm when he went back home. And so he was completely operating from a different paradigm, even though all of those factors weren't reinforcing it immediately. Because like if you go and travel and you come back and you go back to your room that you used to be in when you were primary school and high school, there's so many different elements and triggers that's going to try and reinforce your old version of yourself that you don't want to be anymore, you know? And that's why it's so important, I think, to surround yourself with the right people. If there's one thing that I would dedicate all my success on, okay, that might also be like determined or like hard work or whatever, like keep on throwing the ball against the wall. But networking is a very big thing. You know, like a lot of people work extremely hard, but because they don't have the right connections, you know, unfortunately, they're going nowhere real fast. Yeah.
That's the problem. There's a story of this plane crashed on a island or something, right? And the guys were then going with their knives and chopping down the trees, and they're working extremely hard, right? But you know, and then there's one guy who just climbed up the tree. So it's the difference between smart work and hard work, is what I'm about to explain right now. So these guys down there, they crashed and they're chopping down the trees with their, you know, what's it?
Machete.
Machetes, right? What's it in Afrikaans? It's like a
Machete.
No. What do you call it?
I don't think I've ever heard an Afrikaans word for machete.
Anyway, so they were chopping down the trees, and this one guy, he was just climbing up the tree, and then he was just looking where the water is or where the where they should go. And then the guys downstairs, or like not downstairs, but at the bottom, working extremely hard. But he was working smart, and he was like, guys, you're working hard, nice job, but like you're going in the wrong direction. That's the thing with smart work. Like you can just look where you need to go, and you can even walk slower, right? But you're going in the right direction. It's much better to go in the right direction, like directionally correct, than fast going nowhere.
Yeah,
and that's the difference between hard work and smart work. And also what Quentin said about spending money and making more. It's difficult when you're in a 9 to 5 because there's a cap in your income. It's like that you can't the maximum you can really get if you work hard and prove yourself in the workplace is like a 5% raise, right? But in entrepreneurship, if you make a few key decisions, you can triple your income in 2 months. So that's the thing about smart work and hard work, where I would like to get compensated for the work I do exponentially, not just like by a 5% raise, right? So that's ultimately why I chose entrepreneurship as well.
Yeah.
Because there's no cap on my income.
That's a very good point. A lot of people are saying, like Andre and I, like Andre just said now, is spend money to make money. But if you're in the wrong business model and you are capped, then you are not going to necessarily make more money unless you invest that in a different domain, which is supposed to, then you need to invest that into the right business model. Because let's say, for example, you are working for someone and you aren't doing sales or whatever, like how are you really going to spend more money to make more money? Like in that instance, you're not going to, unless you then spend it on education, that's going to take you into a different business model, different position.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't really make sense. Like if you look at our situation, especially like Andrew, if he gets a key hire or something like that, spending money, instantly you can get a 3-4x return on investment because of that key hire, and that's more, I think what most people mean when they say that.
Yeah. You don't necessarily have to spend as well. Like that's literally why we created the free community, which you can join in the description. It's like ultimately, it's literally 20 hours of free content helping you, get your health right and sign some high-ticket clients, all for free.
Yeah.
So, all you have to really do is pay attention. You're always paying with something, but if you can't pay attention, like there's really no hope. So that's why we kind of lowered the barrier to entry so you can go through that. And if you want to pay with money, which will also, increase the perception of the value of the thing, right? Which will then ultimately make you work harder and make more money. There's a paid community as well, which you can join afterwards.
Yeah, the free community doubled in a month.
Like 100% increase in a month. So, and that's mostly, we're not really promoting it as much. We're just saying like, join the thing on our stories and whatever. But like, that's all through referrals. So what does that mean? That means people are loving the stuff we post in there. And that's all referrals really is. It's like that friend tells another friend, yo, join this thing.
Yeah.
So that's ultimately why we work so hard in the community as well. Is, like, I think 300 hours collectively just in the first 2 weeks, Quentin and I's combined. And that's why people are sharing it, because obviously it's free, so they can just tell a friend to join. So that's really good.
Yeah. I would say if we can diverge back into sort of the lesson we learned this year, I think, Andrew just said one of his things he learned. I think the big thing, and I briefly touched on it, but is networking. And more, I would say the key thing, if I had to distill to the core principle of what I learned, was more how important it is to take control of what you let into your vessel and curating your inputs. Because essentially, like what you're doing when you're networking is you are just aligning yourself and surrounding yourself with people that you want to be around, do business with, want to be like, stuff like that, And you can distill that into just curating all inputs of your life, not just conversations in person, but things you read, things you absorb on social media, what you spend time on, even what you are eating, And that has been the biggest thing this year, is really aligning with my ideal version's day-to-day life, I think
once again, authenticity.
Yeah.
It's just the ideal version of yourself. That's ultimately authentic.
Yeah. And I think I said this in the pod with Kiko, which was a very good one. Go and check that one out. But essentially, I say like the two only things you really need to be successful, in my opinion, of course, is you need to have an specific goal and you need to truly believe that it's possible. Okay, those are the two core things I believe. And now if you really go and look through that and try and figure out what that is, well, to truly believe it's possible, you need to be able to curate your inputs, because you need to work through the friction of your current self and your ideal self. And the only thing that is between those two and that's going to get you to your ideal self is to do the thing, to take action. But there's obviously friction. And so we do affirmations, visualization, we surround ourselves with people that motivate us, inspire us, and that leads to less friction, ultimately enabling us to then take action easier. And so I truly believe you just need to believe it's possible, and you need to know what it is that you want to achieve that you are saying is possible, because once again, it's like what Andrew said now, like if you don't have a goal, or if you're not sure where you're going,
no wind is
like,
favorable.
what are you going to do, bro? Yeah, because
it's like that thing of what's the quote?
something with the sails.
Yeah. It's like if you don't know which sail you are floating to, no wind is favorable.
Wait, if you don't know which harbor you are going to, no wind is, okay. You guys know what we're talking about.
And also like the worthiness, well, what's the other part? So getting clear on your goal, like anyone can really do that. Like
believing it's possible.
Yeah, just writing down like what you want, just sit down for 5 minutes and actually.
But also, like, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but I don't think most people don't know what they want. Because if they did, a lot of people would at least take action on it. Okay, maybe not, but if you really go and ask your friends what they want to do, what do you want to do after 5 years of studying, where do you want to stay, what do you want to, like, those are actually just normal questions. Where do you want to stay and what work do you want to do? Those are two very normal questions. And a lot of people say, well, they don't know. They have no idea what they want to do. They just want to finish this. And there's some value in just finishing this, because you can't really prepare for the long term. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't set goals, I don't know if you want to continue.
Getting clear on what you want, that's really the biggest thing. And the reason people don't know is because they haven't sat down for 5-10 minutes and wrote it down, because they're so stimulated. They can't just do that, right? So that's why it's so easy to win nowadays. And the other part is, believing you can make it happen. And that boils down to two things. If I have to, personally distill it down, it comes to worthiness, and then also feeling like you can actually do it. Those two. So worthiness, right? There's a reason I can speak on this, because I just created a module on that, the shadow of Aries, in week 2 on our community. So
Zero mindset module.
Yeah, that's super good one. So what's the number one is the worthiness factor, and other one is feeling like you can actually do it. And the worthiness is like, the way to tackle that is, writing down daily tasks and actually doing them every single day. Basically keeping your word. So with the small things, if you are faithful with the small things, you'll be faithful with the bigger things, right? If you can't even make your bed, how are you going to make $10,000 a month? That's why Jordan Peterson ultimately says that. It's not just to, if you make your bed, you'll make the money. It's that you have to start small. That's the steps you have to follow. Like, you can't jump to 10K if you aren't faithful with the little things. You can't even make your bed. So over a long enough period of time, if you write things down and do them every single day, you feel like, oh, come on, like success just has to come. Like, you now feel worthy. And the feeling like you can't do it, that's all a limiting belief. That's literally just a limiting belief. Like, you can essentially, if it's within the law of physics, you can do it. And also the quote from Marcus Aurelius that says, if it's humanly possible, consider it within reach. Like, there's thousands and hundreds of thousands of agency owners who made loads of money. Why do you think you can't do it? So the worthiness one is really the main one.
And I mean, it's normal, bro. Like, it's not just even a year ago, and I mean, still now I think I have a couple of limiting beliefs that I probably don't even know of yet, and that I'm still currently working through. But that limiting belief is there for a reason, and it's because you probably aren't producing any results that are indicating otherwise, and so you need to somehow substitute, because I mean, if you go look at, I'm not sure what the diagram's name is, but essentially it's like results, feed into your belief system. Your belief system create thoughts and ideas.
Oh, I got it.
And
actually, that's this exact thing. So,
in the mindset.
Yeah, it starts with number one is your thoughts. That's the number one thing where you should start. And then that's like out of the equation almost. And then you got your thoughts influence your feelings influence your beliefs, your beliefs influence your actions because you won't take action misaligned with your beliefs. Your actions create the results, and those results give you the feelings again. So then it's like this momentum that you've gathered. But you know, the easiest way to intersect that, like that cycle, you can go in a positive cycle, like it's like infinite, because you sign, you know, let's say you form this new belief, you take action, you get results, you enforce your feelings, you feel happy. It's like, abundant money, boom, boom. Like that feeds into the belief. So it's just like this positive feedback loop. But the way, you know, your one at the moment might be negative, might be going in the wrong direction. The way to intersect that is with your thoughts. And you do that through studying smart people and reading books from these people and going through courses and stuff like that. It's getting the thoughts of smart people.
Yeah, that's exactly what I exactly just wanted to say right now. I think mine is, I think it's a little bit different, but it's exactly the same what Andre just said. You know, you need to intercept your belief system via your thoughts, and so
That's the only way.
Yeah, and then that will lead to more thoughts, more emotions. That will ultimately lead to action. Then action leads to results, and that will crystallize your reality, and your reality and your results will feed back into your belief system.
Yeah.
And so if you are not happy with your results and your feedback, you know, then, well, you just need to change your beliefs and do that via your thoughts. And what I wanted to say right now is, with the thoughts, for example, so if you don't actually have, and it's obviously easier to reinforce the idea that you are healthy and you are wealthy, you know, if you are healthy and you are wealthy, you know, so
it's like
then
this positive loop then.
Yeah. So, but then your current reality and your current sort of inputs is reinforcing that, and so the friction to do that is like almost zero because it's already there.
Exactly.
But if it's not there yet, well, then you need to substitute it with your thoughts, and you do that via, and it sounds very cliche, but affirmations, visualization. Maybe surround yourself with people that already have that reality so that you can almost see it's possible, give yourself permission to sort of try and attain that, and then you will take action easier. You know, and that's why a lot of people, I think, start off with affirmations, visualization, you know, the ideal, what do I call it? The ideal self manifesto, you know, your self transcendent worksheet, whatever. And then, you know, after a year or two, you sort of transcend that because now you have already achieved it.
Now
Like,
your
I don't really
reality.
do any affirmation. Like I still do it sometimes,
Yeah.
but like I used to like to-do list, like religiously check off everything.
Every single day.
And now it's sort of like I already believe that. Like it's part of my nature now. I'm already giving myself permission. And I think when you get to a point where you start really becoming self-aware of all these things, and there's paradigms and other like worldly like things that you're not even aware is sort of controlling you, but when you become aware of it, it's almost impossible to not become unaware of it. Because now with everything that I believe in and that I learn, I always question. Like I question Andre a lot, he questions me a lot, because like on the end of the day, these are new paradigms that I am busy brainwashing myself with. And so you need to consciously be able to sort of dissect your beliefs. Something that I recently started doing, you know, I started listening to a lot of the same people on YouTube when it comes to things that I'm learning. So at the moment, I'm really dialing in my knowledge on food, because that's the module I'm currently busy working on. But now I am researching the complete opposite of all the beliefs that my current mentors are teaching me, just to become aware of like what's happening. You know, like I'm currently brainwashing myself believing that, you know, vegans is just, it's not a good thing, you know, but maybe there is some value in that, but I'm only getting that information from, you know, the one side and not the vegan side, essentially. And so you want to almost know your opponent's beliefs better than what they do
themselves.
Yeah, and that's why I also think what's that book about the war?
The art of
The
war.
Art of War. It's like, I think it's in that book where he was talking about, you know, keep your friends close but enemies closer. Was it that? Or was that in a
like
movie?
Patrick David also talks
Yeah.
about that. Everyone says that like keep your friends close and enemies closer. Like what is exactly meant by that?
I think it's something that Alex Hormozy also said, and it's not necessarily exactly the same thing, but I think it comes down to, you know, he said, you know, that people that say you are the 5 people you surround yourself with, you know, that's not really true. It's more the people that you surround yourself with work-wise.
It's like it's the group you compare yourself
Yeah,
to.
and compare yourself
Like a
to.
Harvard study actually. So it's not necessarily the people you're surrounded by. Obviously, that's a bigger influence because, like the thing with networking is through osmosis that you pick a lot of things up, like just the way they move and the energy they have. Like you can't necessarily pick that up online, but your best substitute for that, like when you're not yet making the money, or like you can't yet get into that friend group, is like you kind of just have to compare yourself with people online, right?
Let me play it quickly. I just sent it to Anna this morning.
Have to listen to the people who are closest to your goals, not closest to you. There's, that famous Harvard study that found out that people's net worth was correlated with their reference group. Now, a lot of people mistakenly say it's the 5 people you spend the most time with, but I believe it's the 5 people you compare yourself to. Fundamentally, the people that are in your surroundings, if they don't have what you want, don't listen to what they say. And I think it's hard to do because as humans, we're social creatures and we learn to listen to the opinions of others. When you're a child, you say, is this good or bad? An adult says that's good, that's bad, and you kind of incorporate it. That's how you learn how to make your way in the world. Then you become an adult and you realize that some of the people who gave you your good and bad advice are actually morons, because you meet them now and it's Doug and you're like, Doug's an idiot. I listened to Doug. It's like, well, I was 8 years old and I didn't know any better. But I think honestly a lot of adulthood is fundamentally unlearning things and choosing to know that you believe your beliefs for your own reasons. And so I think that if you cannot explain why you believe what you believe, it's not your belief, it's someone else's.
That's so good. That's literally explaining everything we also sort of just touched base on right now. I think it's very important what you said at the end there. If you can't explain why you believe what you believe, well then you don't really believe it. It's someone else's belief.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good framework to operate out of in some of the mindset modules. I think it is the cornerstone of clarity in the community. I think it's 1.2, where I was talking about, you want to dissect every single belief that you're currently believing, because one of those, or even all of them, are currently reinforcing your current self. And if you are not happy with your current self, well, then you need to start changing things. And you start changing your beliefs. Why do you believe you can't get jacked, you aren't healthy, you can't get rich? Why do you believe that? I think that's a very powerful statement.
Yeah, it's not even your belief.
Idea.
Like it was passed down to you. That's ultimately what it comes down to. By, when you were younger, you were like a sponge, right?
Yeah.
So that's ultimately how you
yeah.
were adapted to the world. It's like just, that's why kids can learn language so quickly, because, they are literally like a sponge. Their brain is in theta waves. So essentially in theta waves, that's when you are most impressionable. So also you can access those theta waves. As a kid, obviously not a kid anymore, but like you can access those waves.
Just before bed, right?
Yeah, just before bed, 5 minutes before bed. That's the easiest way to imprint your subconscious mind. And 90% of what you do is subconscious. Like it comes from your subconscious brain, like 90%. That's like deep down desires and stuff like that, right? So in order to change really your reality, you need to change your subconscious thinking. You need to reprogram yourself. And like Alex said, unlearning. Like I also wrote a tweet that said, most of your 20s is unlearning, not necessarily learning.
Yeah.
It's unlearning all the BS and the limitations and all of that, and just coming back to that childlike state where anything is really possible.
Yeah.
Friedrich Nietzsche also talks about this, the will to power. Essentially, you have the ability to change your environment, and then that's ultimately what motivates you to really act. And you can do that, by the way. Like you have to also give yourself permission to do it. That's a big thing. People don't give themselves permission to have the nice things, permission to win. Like that's they're not allowing it really to get in their life. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean that just reinforces my previous statement of like how important networking is, because on the journey of starting to point out certain beliefs and paradigms and going against that because you don't believe that it's benefiting you, you are going to unconsciously and not even intentionally sort of maybe even offend some of the people that currently believe those beliefs. And those people might be family members or friends, and that means that you might be alone for a little bit, especially until you can actually show the results of your new beliefs. Because if everyone is, let's take a very stupid, I don't think it's actually even a stupid point. So let's take, for example, in South Africa, the very normal thing to do over the weekends is to party and to go out and and especially on university, like you party on Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. Okay, that's just what it is. And that was prime time for me, 19, 20, 21, where I decided to just completely stop drinking essentially. And you know, I was really focusing on my business. I had no results to show for it. I was really gymming hard. I didn't really know what I was doing, but you know, I was just consistently throwing a ball against the wall and waiting for something to land. And sometimes that's all you can do, and it's gonna be tough, especially if you don't have people that help and reinforce this current version of yourself. Because sometimes you're just gonna be going in circles, and then your immediate environment might also unintentionally reinforce your current self that you don't want to be anymore. Like, oh, but oh, you want to make money online? It's impossible. Like, what do you mean? Like, let's say if you want to make 4 or 5 times the amount that your father is making, and you're telling him, I'm going to start an online business, I'm going to work from anywhere, I'm going to work 4 hours a day for myself, and I'm going to make 4 times more than you. That is actually a slap in the face to him, you know, because unconsciously you're telling him, like, you know, what do you mean?
Like half his age,
yeah,
and you're getting it in like 2 years.
Exactly. That is so ridiculous. And so, of course, he is going to say you're crazy, because hopefully your father wants the best for you, or your mother, or your friends, and so they are wanting to look out for you, you know, and they're like, okay, but dude, like, don't do this, and they're trying to bring you back, like, just go and study, do this, whatever. But yeah, they just don't see it, man. And if you can see it, and you truly believe it's possible, like that's Conor McGregor, and that probably came from Seneca or somewhere, you know, essentially, if you can really, truly see it and believe it's possible, that's exactly what I believe.
Right.
If you can see it, in other words, have a clear idea or goal, and believe that it's possible, you can achieve it.
Well, Connor says if you have the courage to speak it.
Oh, courage to speak.
Yeah, that's also big. You know, speaking, the power of the tongues, like just spelling, that's big. Like self-talk, that's massive. You know, what you tell about yourself, like even when you get clear on your goals, like say it out loud. You're gonna feel this weird like cringe, like like I can't say that. Like, you know, that's exactly why you should say it. And then when you constantly say, that's the power of affirmations, and you know, getting clear on your goals and saying it all this time, and then looking at it all this time. It's like it will become your new normal. It's just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do that. And that's you know, a lot of people put success on a pedestal. That's big. And when you put success on a pedestal, you're constantly chasing, and chasing never works. I think Bob Proctor also says that, you know, if you get $1 million, you best become a millionaire, because, you know, people think that once they get the money, then they're gonna feel wealthy. But it's the other way around. You first have to feel wealthy, then the money will come. So it's kind of, in a sense, delusional. Like Joe Dispenza also talks about this. People are waiting for, you know, a partner to feel loved. They're waiting for the money to feel wealthy. They're waiting for the outward circumstances to be happy. But the thing is, it's the other way around. You first feel wealthy, then the money comes. You feel happy, then the outward circumstances make you happy. So it's the complete other way around. And if you put success on a pedestal, you don't even resonate with it at all. So you have to resonate with the success. How you do that is making it effortless. And a lot of these things I get from the book Reality Transurfing.
You need to read it.
Bro,
Anders read it. How many times have you read it?
5 times. And in the community I mentioned, I think 20 times in my module, I said, like, read this book, read this book, read this book. I said it like 5 times. And I even put on my story, if you don't buy this, you are asking to be broke.
Yeah, you're consciously deciding to be broke.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think some of the stuff that obviously Andre and I are really like just machine gunning through a lot of these, like, I think nuance or, you know, like, this is not mainstream beliefs, and it might sound a bit crazy, but even if you go look at the Bible, for example, the first thing, you know, that God did is he spoke essentially, let there be light. And there's a lot to say from that as well, you know, it's like via words and
if they have the courage to speak it.
There's but once again, it sounds so crazy, but it's 100% true. And if you can, like, try doing that for 3 months and see how your life changes. Yeah. In the cornerstone, no, what's the cornerstone of clarity? I think it's a cornerstone of clarity, where I was talking about the Ideals of Manifesto, essentially a document that I used to crystallize exactly the person I want to be, and the method I was going to do that. The precise goals, where I want to stay, what car I want to drive, the color of that car, the color of my, you know, like my hair, how my hair looks, the clothes I'm going to wear, everything specific. Every day I used to say that for 3-4 months on end, to-do list, checking it off. It took me like 10-15 minutes in the morning, affirmation and visualization at the end. And somehow, you know, 7-8 months later, and now I have that car, you know, I am making that money, I'm in that job that I had no results to show for or anything to reinforce the fact that I can actually do that. And now I have that job, you know. Now I travel exactly where I wanted to travel. It's ridiculous. Like, because if you become extremely specific with what you want, it's really difficult to get lost because you just don't do anything that doesn't align with that. And somewhere in, I don't even know what module that was, but it was, you know, most of the things, well, I think Andrew said it now, is that it's just, you know, although he said unlearning, but it's just stop doing the things that are harming you, you know. Before you even start implementing the things that can benefit you, you're going to get more benefit from stop doing the things that are harming you.
Holding you back.
Yeah, because then you're going to have more energy to then just completely absorb all the benefits. You know, a lot of people will think, just specifically for my experience right now, is they want to know all the supplements they need to drink and what's the exact workout protocol, and in the morning, what do I do to wake up and to have full energy, no brain fog. It's like, bro, just stop eating processed foods, drink good quality clean water, move your body, get sunlight, and have healthy relationships with people. And, you know, try and interact with every single one of those people at least once a week. You know, you will tap into 80% of your potential, I would say, if you consistently do that. And then you start adding in some supplements and what specific diet, and it's the 80-20 protocol or the 80-20 rule. It is, I don't think it's 100% accurate, but, you know, 80-20, it's 80% of the time correct, I would say.
Yeah,
it's really good.
It's the exact module that I made, is the shadow of Aries. I talk about, you know, just cut off the weight that is holding you back before you start adding all this stuff.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good way to
It's
put
like,
it. Yeah.
you know, just stop. You know, they want to know the best routine and the best business model, but like they wasting time on social media and watching Netflix and eating junk food. It's like, bro, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Just remove that stuff,
Yeah.
and as a natural byproduct, you will start moving forward. And then also the thing about the goal setting, right? Good analogy from that book, Reality Transurfing, is you know, essentially a goal is the same as setting an intention. So you set the intention. A good analogy is when you are going out to dinner, right, and you order your steak, right? You set the intention, and then once the waiter is gone, you don't think about it anymore. It's like you're not over obsessing, like, oh, I should work harder to get the steak. Like I should, you know, I should do some visualizations to get the steak. Like if you set the goal, it's the exact same. Like you give it to the universe, right? Whatever, like just give it to the waiter in that sense, and then forget about it. Like just set the intention. It's the exact same thing. They also talk about when you go to the store and you know, you literally just choose your goal. And it sounds so weird, but you have to read the book to understand. Like when you're driving to the store and getting newspaper, it's like you don't overly obsess about it. You're not like, you know, have this excess potential that he also talks about in the book, right? You just go to the store, and if they don't have newspaper, you go to the next one. But when people don't achieve their specific goal, they freak out. It's like, just go to the next one. Maybe that goal wasn't specifically for you, right? So people are they put too much importance on stuff. The biggest lesson from that book is to decrease your importance on most things. Like decrease it, because you know, nature is always looking for balance. Like we are in nature at the moment. Like I really think nature is a competitive edge. Like when everyone's in the city, right? Nature is your competitive edge. Like you want to constantly do the opposite of what most people are doing. When a lot of people are acting quick and doing fast and speed, obviously that's important. The antithesis of that is moving slow and strategizing and planning for long term. Okay, so, but anyway, so yeah, with the excess potential, balancing forces are coming in, right? And trying to, you know, get back to equilibrium and balance, right? So when you put this excess potential and you put success on a pedestal, there's going to come challenges and obstacles trying to get you back to balance. So when you just act normal, act as if success is like a mundane activity, just normal, just your average life is that of success, it's going to be much easier.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't even have anything to add to that. That's just the major, like, I mean, yeah, I can touch on the nature part. You know, I think nature does nothing in vain. And I think, you know, we spoke about this in one of the pods we did in Bali. You know, you have the 4 glasses, the health, wealth, love, happiness. And I think it's very important. And the more I'm continuing on this journey, the more I start to realize how important it is to spend time on all of them. And to come at least, and I think self-awareness is is like the cornerstone of all of what we're speaking right now. Because if you can just become self-aware of these things, like you need to become self-aware of the fact that you need to set a goal. And you need to become self-aware of the fact that, okay, I don't want to be this person that I am right now. But if you believe that you can change and curate a new reality, you need to realize that you have forged your current one. And that's tough for some people to admit. It was tough for me. But when you can become self-aware and situations arise and you can detach from that and be like, okay, this is happening. I don't need to give my attention or my energy to this situation if it's going to impact me negatively. I can just let it be, you know, and that is tough, but it's self-awareness is so crucial.
It's also important what you give your energy to, right? Like I literally don't ever entertain poverty. I don't look at negative things, nothing. Like I like the best way to really, you know, help, let's say, poor people or broke people, whatever, is for you to become rich yourself. It's like you shouldn't entertain that at all. And because, you know, to help, I also read this in a book somewhere, like to help these people is like you first need to show that you can come from poor to rich, right? And then that will forge like an inspiration in them. It's like you can't necessarily help people if they can't help themselves. And, you know, the way to do that is to feel inspired. It's like, wow, he can do that. I think that's a big motivation for a lot of people, is to be like a source of inspiration, right? That's why it's almost good in a sense to come from nothing. And I see a lot of people say daddy's money and stuff like that. It's actually very funny. Like we nothing, like zero. We are trying to make our parents rich and our next generations and the children's of children's. Like that's where it all starts, right? We want to give back. Like we got a very good childhood. Like that's the thing I think a lot of people but they forget like how they were brought up. And Scott Galloway also talks about this, like that unconditional love is of his mom. Right? Like that's extremely valuable. Like always this positive affirmations when you grew up. Like you know how big that is. Like even when I did very poorly on my science, like my mom was like, "Yo, that's amazing. You're doing good, perfect. Just keep going." Like that's more valuable than anything else, really. Especially in the early stages when you're like a sponge, right?
Yeah. You know, one of my favorite quotes comes from actually not even Socrates, you know, it comes from a movie, Coach Carter. And the guy was talking, and one of the parts is, and that adds on to Andrew's thing, is he said, "Your playing small does not serve the world, and there's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you." And then it goes on. And essentially, a lot of people would say, like on YouTube, it's like, "Oh, daddy's money," or "Yes, it's only possible to spend money if you have money," or like whatever. Like, and you know, it's yeah, I understand where that comes from because I was in that situation as well, and I don't want to come from a place of pride, you know, while I speak on this topic, but you know, it's I think it's not a good thing to project, you know, your current paradigm and limiting beliefs on someone else, especially if the intention is good, you know. And so I'm not ignorant to the fact that I think I'm very blessed, you know. I've got a very loving family that support me tremendously, and my father supported me in everything that I do. Yes, he didn't, it was difficult for him to understand a lot of the things that I'm pursuing and still pursuing. But I truly believe that no matter what, they would be able to support me. And but yeah, that doesn't take anything away from my success that I've worked very hard for, and I'm very proud of myself to do that. You know, am I more privileged than some people? 100%, 100%. Okay, but sorry to break it to you, bro, but you over there are also more privileged than someone in the world.
If you can watch this video and you have Wi-Fi,
you are more privileged.
Zero excuses. Zero.
And that's the point that I'm trying to make is, am I supposed to now withhold myself from being successful because I'm more privileged than someone else? Well, of course not. In fact, I should, out of respect for that person, achieve success so that he can at least see, you know, like it is possible, or like this guy, you know, like whatever. Like imagine I didn't achieve success. How much less of hope would that guy have?
It's
like,
too much is given, much is required.
Yeah.
Right. And I just got this quote that is pretty cool. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate.
Oh, that's
our
a movie.
deepest fear is that the
Yeah, is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us.
yeah,
We're
exactly.
playing small does not serve the world.
Yeah, like you just need to be better ultimately. Like you can't just you can't help people by playing the same game as them.
But it's not even coming from a place of ego, you know. It's not like that, you know. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I know how it feels to not have this stuff and to want to be something that I'm not. And so when I'm saying these things, I'm not being like, oh, I think I'm better than you or whatever. It's like, bro, like you have some self-respect for yourself, you know. It's a harsh thing to say, but what I'm trying to convey is that I was in a place where I didn't want to be. And am I closer to it? Yes. Am I? But I still have a long way to go, of course. But the message I'm trying to convey is that I want to prove that it's possible to outwork talent. Let's say, for example, like it's very cliche or whatever, but that is a decision that I made 2 years ago. And 3 years ago, I don't even know exactly when it was, like just after high school, like somewhere in COVID, whatever. And I was like, you know, I really, at that time, I didn't feel like I have good genetics. You know, at that moment, I was like, you know, there's so much other people that are more successful than me or whatever. And so no one in that situation and in that framework was telling me, oh, you were privileged and da 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 da. It's only when I started reclaiming what is rightfully mine, which is success and living in abundance, okay, when people start attacking you and trying to bring you down because they feel insecure. It's like, no, I worked hard for this and I had to, and I overcame a lot of limiting beliefs. And that's what I'm trying to convey and teach people around me, because I saw how much hope that brought me and how much vigor for life and meaning and purpose that brought into my life. It's actually being a person worthy of respect and success. And I actually learned a lot of these principles via anime, believe it or not. Okay, because like what are they, or like if you look at Batman or Spider-Man or whatever, like I think a lot of people can resonate with some of those hero arcs or whatever. It's because they were born, you know, something tragic happened, or they're born in a world they don't have any superpowers and everyone else has superpowers and they just work harder than everyone else and then they become the strongest person or whatever. I think there's a lot of value in that, and there's nothing wrong with trying to be the best version of yourself and holding nothing back. And I think your heart posture while you're doing that is more important than anything else. I think we spoke about that on one of the community calls. I think it was actually Friday, where we talked about, you know, the nuance and we're talking about, you know, actually we're talking about Democrats and Republicans, and we're talking about some other beliefs and paradigms and essentially, what is uiterste? Like extremes, you know, and what is the reality and the truth and the nuance in the middle. And essentially, I believe that it all comes down to having the correct heart posture while you are conveying these ideas. Because are you going to stop conveying your idea because you are scared you're going to be wrong in the future? Like, you are going to be wrong in the future, or like looking back, you know, you're going to cringe at some of your beliefs. But if your heart posture comes from a place of you are truly wanting to improve people's lives or yourself, or you're conveying a belief for whatever, but it's a good thing that you're trying to do, people can see that, people can feel that. And as long as that is correct, you can always go back and remend what you said and just be like, oh no, you know, I learned something new and I do not agree with what I previously said, I was wrong. And once again, if your heart posture in conveying that is correct, you can't really mess up, you know. That's why I'm conveying all these things, is because I know it's coming from a place of a good place, and I personally had experience working through that. I'm not lying with anything, because that was my reality. And if you don't believe it, that's fine, bro. But like, that is my reality. I'm not lying.
Yeah, and also I think it doesn't take that hard work. Like you can literally, you know, live the life you've always dreamed of in 2 years. That's crazy. And once you've said that, like your belief system is set, you obviously have to work through things as well. Like it's a constant battle really, but like, you know, the initial stages is done. Like you've got the momentum set. It takes 2 years. Like you can earn the salary of a doctor in 2 years. Like, are you kidding me? Like, are you saying that's too difficult?
Yeah.
And with technology and all this stuff, like you are so privileged. So, you know, you have literally no excuses. You know,
I want to put it in comparison, because I understand it doesn't take that hard work. It's just in comparison with what? Like, I think he's more talking about it does take hard work in comparison with the life's effort you're going to put in for that amount of money that you can just make in 2 years. But I want to be completely honest. Like, it takes a fuck ton of, like, if I had to compare, for example, Andrew or my routine. Let's just stay with Andrew because people might say I'm prideful, whatever. Like, if I take Andrew's daily routine, there's no one our age or his age or whatever, just in a normal 9 to 5 that I know that's working as hard as Andrew. It is what it is. And it's so normal to him that he doesn't even realize that. But there's no like working, especially in the beginning, working over weekends. Like that is what it is. That's what it takes. Is you have to
I
put
can actually
that
show
input
my
in.
calendar right here. Like, can you
Let
see
me
that?
let me see.
It's just like completely packed.
Well, wait, stand in the I don't think
can
I,
you
they
zoom
can
in?
see that. Wait, stand there. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, yeah.
It's like completely packed, and it's even a Sunday today. But like the thing is, I love the work I do. I literally got a DM the other day that says, where is it? So I can't believe how you're capable of finding the ability to deal with both community and running your own SMA. That's some serious dedication. I said, I love every second of it, you know, because like I just love what I do. That's the thing. So that's why I can work so hard.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't necessarily, at the start especially, like that's pretty shit. Like that's brutal. Like especially the beginning stages.
Can you quickly change this? Is this like my mic or something?
Yeah.
Can you quickly just fix it? Is it right?
Yeah.
It looks right.
Yeah,
Oh, you
yeah,
sure?
yeah.
Okay.
It's good.
Yeah, I mean, and the reason why I want to touch on this point is because I had to know that there's power in just outworking my situation. And I'm telling you right now, yes, there is. You can outwork, like, you know, your current situation. There is hope in that. And that is me trying to convey and give you permission to take action. You might be in a situation where you feel like everything is working against you and it's not possible. Was I exactly in the same situation? Maybe not. Maybe I am a bit more wealthy, or maybe you are a bit more wealthy. Honestly, we don't really know. But I'm telling you that you shouldn't focus on that. Because if I had to focus on things like that, I would obviously compare myself to people that are more wealthy than me, and I would find something in that that would withhold me from taking action. But if I had to compare myself to everyone else, I felt extreme, almost a sense of disgust in myself, thinking that, oh, I was trying to feel sorry for myself. I'm like, what the fuck? Like there's people out there that physically need to work after going to university, like at a pizzeria or whatever, just to provide for their, a parent or someone that's in a hospital. Like, there's so much worse situations out there, and you trying to convince yourself that you can't make it because you are overweight now or whatever, or you feel like you have bad genetics, or your parents don't make a lot of money, they just make a little bit of money. It's you need to take some respect for your life and have some pride and be like, no, I'm going to prove to everyone around me that's possible, and with the right heart posture you can motivate them and give them hope to do the same.
You should ask yourself, like, you know, was there someone worse off who achieved more? And it's 100% yes. So people literally had less than you and made more. And the thing is, like, let's take a Fortnite analogy. You probably played that game, right? when you've got like a grey loadout, you're still going for the win either way. All right? It's not like you're gonna stop. Oh, it's like, you know, top 3. It's like the circle is closing in, and you've got a grey laid out. I didn't even say that, but like, you got a grey AK, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to quit. Like, you're still going to go for number. Imagine how cool that is as well. Like, you won the guy with the golden scar and you got a grey AK. Like, that's a much better story. So, you know, that's why it's cool. Chris Williamson, he keeps his older videos because the comparison is ultimately what it makes it better. Like, let's say he didn't keep his older ones and it was like polished from the start. But then there's no comparison. It's just like, okay, he's just good. He was just good. Yeah. But if you look at the previous one, like his first ones, it was pretty shit. Like, like our one is probably better. Like, with the quality. I don't necessarily watch his entire.
Not probably, it was definitely better. Oh, maybe not the content.
Yeah, I didn't watch the content, but like his one right now, and that was 6 years ago.
Yeah,
6
years.
So you can really achieve. What's the thing? You can. Most people underestimate what they can achieve in a year, but deeply underestimate how much they can achieve in a decade. That's the thing as well. Time is your most valuable resource. That's also when I went to college for 1 year, right? And then after that, I kind of did the thing. I, did the test because like I didn't really have time to think, right? I didn't have time to think. But from November, like right now, there's so many people who want, because they can think now. Yeah. So from November to February, like there was 3 months, and I was like, what on earth am I doing, right? And in those 3 months, it's the hardest I've ever worked. I've never once got back to that motivational state again, because I did not want to go back. Okay, like I had to make shit happen, like show, okay, like I can actually make some money online, like you know, can I drop out now? Okay, so time is really the most valuable resource. So yeah.
I think because that quote that Andrew just mentioned now, that was a quote that changed everything. Because when I read that, I consciously can remember I was like, this is ridiculous. Like I need to really what was the quote you just said? No, I actually forgot it.
People overestimate.
No. The one that there's people out there with far less than you that are achieving far more, and that's exactly what I realized. I was like, I'm comparing myself to the wrong people. I need to compare myself with people that have less than me, because that's going to put me in a place of like, okay, I actually got a lot and I'm going to start being grateful for the things that I do have. And that energy switch is what you need.
And
that's like talking about the friction. And just one more thing is, don't let your lack of resources withhold you from being resourceful. You know, there's a quote that says, you know, it's not your lack of resources, but your lack of resourcefulness that's holding you back. It's not because you don't have stuff. It's because you're not able to tap into and use the stuff that you do have. There's people out there that have a lot less than you that are making much more. And to criticize someone that potentially has more than you, that has success, is the easy way out. And I want to say that is a pure victimized mindset. Why would you do that? There's no benefit in that. So focus on your own game, bro.
That's ultimately the entire definition of entrepreneurship, is use what you've got, right? It's use what you currently have. That's why entrepreneurship is so cool. Like it's ultimately a even playing field. Like, you know, some people start off better, whatever, but like anyone can compete. Like anyone can compete in this game. Like doesn't matter your height, weight, race, does not matter. Like it all comes down to, you know, business at the end of the day. Like it is a competition. Like it's the closest cousin to war, right? So you kind of have to strategize in a way. That's why it's good to also read and watch like Netflix documentaries of Napoleon and read books and stuff like that, because ultimately business is a form of war as well. But yeah, Naval also said like anyone can get rich, like anyone. I don't know exactly. You can just search Naval, anyone can get rich. Like just watch that clip. And he says like, you know, 100 years ago, you know, we are eating like kings right now.
Yeah.
That's the whole premise how he talked about anyone can get rich, because everyone now has like an iPhone, which is like 100 years ago, that was like, or like even 50 years ago, 30 years ago, having like this supercomputer in your hands. So everyone is richer. Okay?
I think
that's ultimately what it comes down to.
I think it's just important to note, and I want to give some bit of leanway here. It's like, maybe you are justified in your victimized mindset. Okay, maybe you are.
No, I can't do that. I can't do that.
I know.
It doesn't resonate with me at all.
But there is truth in that. But what I'm trying to say is that it's not helpful to give your energy to that. Yes, because remember, there's people out there that really the situation might not be as good as ours, okay? And that is fair, okay? Right. Justified, your situation sucks. What you gonna do, bro? Like, you need to, the only thing that you can do is move forward. And that's what I'm trying to convey right now. Is, okay, maybe, because I felt like I came to a dead end, okay? So maybe your dead end might be much worse, might be much less. I don't really know. But I had to make a decision where I was like, okay, it felt like the end of the world to me in that paradigm. And I was like, okay, I had to make a decision. And the decision and the frame of mind, my heart posture is what I'm trying to convey here. Is I felt like I couldn't go on and like it's just game over. And I just had to, you just had to keep on going. It's that's all you can do, okay? And that's what I'm trying to convey right now. You are justified. Your current reality sucks, maybe. What are you going to do? You have to move forward.
I've done a lot of sales calls, and then people are like, oh, no, you don't understand my situation. Like, it's just, I can't do it. Like, this is just not going to work for me. I'm like, you're right. It's not going to work. And then they're like, no, but like, and then they try to justify it. So ultimately, deep down, you really want to change, but like, you're kind of justifying it and staying comfortable because you don't want to take action, right? And that's ultimately what it comes down to.
I needed someone like my current self to tell me exactly what I just told you. Stop being a bitch. Okay, I didn't want to say it, but like that's what I was. Okay, I'm not necessarily saying that's what you are, but I was complaining, moaning, whatever. It's like, no, just take control of your life. And on that journey, 3 years later, things happen for me, okay? And it's now 4 years later, and I can truly look back and connect the dots and be like, I needed to go through that time of my life to appreciate things that I do have now, to whatever, to learn things, and yeah, this is obviously a video and more like just a video of reflection, and I'm very grateful to be where I am right now. And I think it's amazing. 5K
5K subscribers
is crazy. 6 months, double the community in a month. Yeah,
It's good. Like things are definitely on a
Life is
upward.
good.
I can never say this word trajectory.
Trajectory, yeah.
Trajectory. But
So,
anyway,
I
I think
mean,
last
yeah.
point. Like I think gratitude is so
Yeah.
so powerful. And people are also like the thing is backwards again. They are waiting for the car and the money
the
to
thing.
feel grateful. But the funny thing is, once you feel grateful for what you have now, you won't get complacent. Trust me, like I also maybe struggle with that. Like, no, I don't want to feel grateful because like I'm gonna stay complacent. You don't. You're just grateful for what you have, so that makes you strive in a more pure energy. And once you're grateful for what you have, you will get more to be grateful for. So with everything, it starts with the feeling first. The feelings is really what you're after. Really, it's like you don't really want the car. You want the feeling that the car gives you. So if you can just feel the feeling right now, do you even need the car? Because
That is the paradigm. That is the question. Okay.
But like I'm gonna get the car to find out.
To feel like you are able to then make the decision and be justified in your, because that is the question. Like if you look at the warrior and the monk, okay, you either conquer the world or you decide that conquering the world is not going to bring you happiness, and therefore you don't do it, and you completely just tap out of the question.
It's like the
And then both of them end up being either happy or unhappy, whatever. Let's say they both end up at the exact same feeling. But now we believe it's more virtuous for the warrior to convey that opinion. Maybe that's a paradigm that we are incorrect. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. They both ended up the exact same place.
it's like the thing of money won't make you happy. But like you can't say that if you haven't made the money. I think it's a cope. I personally believe it's a cope, 100%. Even the answer is probably the same. It's like it won't make you happy. Like it won't. Like the answer is the same, right? So is that going to stop you from achieving the money? I know. I feel like that's a cope.
Well, that might be also a miss, because that might just be like he's operating out of abundance, and it's not going to withholding him from obtaining money. It's just going to obtain him from giving up things for an immense amount of money that he doesn't believe is valuable.
Like just stopping at a certain point.
Yeah, because remember, there's always a trade-off. That's just what it is, and it is true 100%. When you escape the matrix, you just end up in a different matrix. That is what it is. Okay, and I prefer to be in that different matrix, and I think I'm jumping around between the different paradigms or whatever. But you always trade something for something else, and that's all it is. It's only trade-offs. There's no right or wrongs, only trade-offs. And when you go down the path of making an extreme amount of money, especially very quick, there's things that you are trading for that. And if you get the right things in place, yes, obviously, things might work for you, and then making more money can just be a byproduct, of course. But there's things that you trade for that. And that's why, who said that? Ty Lopez who says, like, you need to have a buyout amount or whatever. You need to be like, okay, if I'm at 20 mil, now I can focus on the things that truly I want to focus on. Because if you don't have that, you are going to always feel like you need to work for something, and you're going to get your dopamine from that. And there might be some nuance in that as well.
There's always going to be people making more money than you, always. So you're always going to feel like, no, there's more. But like I think, and it's very difficult to say this, but like I think there's a lot of power in like just having enough, just being like, okay, I'm good. But like I think in your early 20s, bro, I think you can say that. Obviously, it depends how much money you're making. But wealth is really just an equation. So if your investments is bringing in, let's say $2,000 a month, let's just say, 10%, 20K a year, whatever, $2,000 a month, and your expenses is $1,500, like you're wealthy. That's literally the equation of wealth. It's like investments minus the expenses. So, you can just lower your your costs, your expenses, right? Or you can just increase your income. That's really all it comes down to. And don't spend more than you make. Like that's the number one rule of wealth is don't spend more than you make. Like don't really go
Yeah,
into debt
yeah.
type of thing.
I think this is a chart I see, of I said somewhere, or saw, saw somewhere, which said that the difference between ambition and reality is happiness. Okay, might be some nuance there, whatever, but I resonate a lot of that, because you either bring your reality to your ambition or your goal, okay, and then the happiness will be closer, okay, and you'll be happy, or you bring your reality or your ambition down to your reality and just have less goals, okay, and that is a good way to look at it. But I think what I realized, and what I'm currently realizing is that I don't want to lose myself in just trying to make a shit ton of money. I want to become consciously aware of what am I trading for that, and is what I'm trading worth it?
Because, is the sacrifice worth
it's a sacrifice worth it. Because and I think that is the core of abundance, is being able to even think of this right now.
Yeah.
That is abundance. You can't contemplate the meaning of life and asking questions what I am if you're really focusing on paying all the bills the whole time. It's like, it's difficult. And so by operating a place of abundance, I can be like, okay, I just want to make 10K a month and not 500. Like, you know what I mean? Because I can now operate from the framework, and I'm extremely grateful to be able to say that I got my dream car now to an extent. I drove the fastest roadworthy car in the world. I stayed on the Palm. I went to Dubai, Bali, Thailand, Greece, all in the span of 5 months, 6 months. And I can tell you, coming from someone that got a Beetle for his from when I was 18, and like 5 years later I drove like the fastest. Yeah, it's just two different worlds. And I promise you, after a day or two, you completely normalize everything. And then I promise you, like, everything comes down to how are the relationships with the people around you, and
your
is your
health.
girlfriend happy? Are you happy with yourself? Do you have friends that you can go back and tell your stories to? That is what it is. Do you have a cat that you love and that you're feeding every day, and your plants? And it's all the small things. Yes, driving the nice car and being able to stay in Dubai is amazing, and it's awesome to do that, and it's a good goal to have. But it's like we said in Thailand, no, not Thailand, Bali, also one of those 7-minute segment pods. We also said the goal shouldn't be the actual thing, but the what do we say? It's about the freedom to actually.
The freedom to choose.
It's a freedom. I think the goal should be to operate out of abundance and to be able to say, this is what I want, and I can and have the opportunity to choose that. And then, because maybe you like Alex or Mosey, you have abundance, but you still choose to want to grow businesses because you love it. Then you just find a wife and create a reality that works with that paradigm, and that's your life, bro.
That's ultimately
That's
also,
what it is.
no, that's why we want to get you to 10K a month as soon as possible, because then you can start to contemplate and think, money.
What do you want?
Yeah, like money is the same as oxygen, is the exact same thing. It's like when you have no oxygen, it's the number one thing you think about. So you can't think about anything else, because it's like just this urging problem that you have. But when you have a lot of money and if you have a lot of oxygen, we haven't thought about oxygen like since I last said this right now. So we don't think about it at all. And now we can think about bigger things and the meaning of life and like what you want to optimize for. But like if you're constantly struggling to make money, like that's why I think that's one of the first buckets you should fill out first, is to get to 10K a month. And then from there, like you can live a pretty good life, and then you can start to feel like, okay, is this the thing I actually want? Or is it just the money that says I need to have this thing? So I think that's a good point to wrap it up on.
Yeah.
And if you want some more help with that, just getting to freedom ultimately, you can join the free community. And we also kind of need to, ultimately it's free, but we also need to sell you in a sense with that, right? With the free community, I see a lot of people that say, oh, join my free things. Like, I don't want to join that. But if you want 20 hours of free content helping you get in the best shape possible, Quentin helping with that, and me helping you sign the first couple of clients, you can make $2,000 to $5,000 a month extra pretty simply. Like, we help you create your offer, select your niche and everything like that. So all for free. So if you want to join that, that's in the link down below. And then also subscribe, leave a like, do all those cool things. And then, do you want to wrap it up in a sense?
I think the last point is, I try to convey how important curating your inputs is. This is the number one thing you can do, is surround yourself with people that are all on the same journey as you. And if you're trying to be an entrepreneur and an entrepreneur on the online business space that focuses on health, there's not a lot of people in your immediate environment that's your age or whatever that, that like those things. And so it's important to try and figure out and join places and people and invest in things that do have those beliefs. And that's exactly what Unreliable Building is, a place and a community, predominantly South Africans that's in there, that want to make money online, operate out of abundance, have passion and purpose in life, and want to focus on their health. Because ultimately, the number one thing that you think of when you are sick is to be healthy. Okay. There's a quote that I used in my newest module, but I couldn't even remember what it is. But it's like, art is dead without health. Wealth means nothing if you're sick. It's like there's a lot of things, but it's always a nuance in the balance between the two. Because if you're sick but you can't pay for meds, you're pretty in your mood. Okay. But if you're wealthy but you're fat and sick, it's like you can't use it. So you need to have the balance.
It's like the 4 pillars, right? The health, wealth, love, and happiness. Like it's like a 4 glass,
you're
4 glass balls you're juggling. Like you can't miss one. Like you need all 4. That's like where the balance comes from. Like balance isn't necessarily being complacent and just like lazy. 50% you work, 50% you chill and watch net. That's not balance. Like balance is actually extremely hard. It's optimizing every single bit. So, being healthy, that you can actually think straight and move your body. Because like you can have all the money in the world. I can wire you $1 billion right now. But like if you can't jump out of bed in the morning, it's literally useless. And also, let's say extremely healthy, but you have no money, you can't do anything. You can't pay bills, you can't travel, you can't buy nice food. And also, you can have all the money and be fit and have no friends, no family members. So like that's also pretty important. And you can have all that and also not be happy. So like
it's literally,
you need all, but like obviously if you have those 3, usually, you have got the wealth sorted, all of that, the health and love life, family, and all of that. Usually you'll be happy as a consequence.
It's like you need to. I don't want to continue the pod, but it's like everything, and that's what we talked about in the community call as well on Friday. It's always the middle road. It's like everyone wants to be right, and because they attach the entire. And I mean, I struggle with this sometimes, because we are prideful creatures, and so I used to, and I still do. I attach my entire identity on my beliefs. I'm a guy that focuses on health, and that's who I am. And if I miss a day or 2 of focusing and doing everything correct to I feel like, who am I? And I'm a bit disgusted on myself, and I always want to perceive and convey myself as this type of person. And now I'm that guy. If I had to be overweight right now and have acne and, be unhealthy, I would completely struggle to be happy. And that's might be a limiting belief, or it might just be, I don't even know what that is, okay? But what I wanted to say is, what did I want to say right now? I confused myself. What did you speak about right now?
I think we should wrap it up there.
Just wrap it up, okay.
I think that's a good one. All right, see you on the next one. We don't know what we're going to do. So that's ultimately what it comes down to. One step forward in front of the other. That's all.
We don't know what you're going to do? What do you mean?
Our next episode. We don't know what we're going to talk about, who we're going to talk about. So even with our first episode, it's just like we're just starting. One step in front of the other. That's all. My first YouTube video, I literally said I have no idea what I'm doing. So that's ultimately with agency as well, with health. You don't know what you're doing, but like one step forward. That's all. That's all you need to do.
All right. Let's wrap it up there. Okay, we are mumbling now.
Bye-bye.
All right. Cheers, boys. Bye-bye.
Yo.